information. So join me there, and I'll catch you on the next super review. Have a good week. Welcome. How we doing, folks? All right, let me catch up with live chat as best as possible. If you got any questions about the SA6 Mark II, the SA6 original, and I didn't talk too much about the SA6 Ultra because I don't have it here on hand. I have heard it in the past. I've demoed it for probably about maybe like 30 minutes total, 30, 45 minutes total. So a fair bit of experience, but I wasn't able to compare the Mark II directly with the Ultra, unfortunately, but I don't know, I do have the frequency response graphs and they're pretty similar. It's very clear what Dunu was doing here. But yeah, let me catch up with live chat. How we doing? S2, thank you for joining me early. Appreciate it. Same to you, Zest Defender. Saying funky looking TBH. And I know the aesthetic here on the SA6 Mark II is a little bit controversial. And I think a lot of it's controversial because of how good looking the original SA6 is. But I don't know, man. If you compare it to a lot of other IEMs, it's still, I think, a very, very handsome IEM. It's just when you compare it versus the absolute best, and again, the SA6 original is kind of the absolute best. It's only there where it's like, okay, Lance, what exactly is going on here? Why you got this two-tone thing going on? I'm not mad about it, but I have seen some other copies of the SA6 Mark II that maybe I'd be a little bit mad about. So I get that. Ace of Spades saying howdy, how you doing, sir? Hiran Patel, is that a 6 or a 9 on the IM? You sure you got the right one? Yeah. It could be. Hold on. Let's get an excuse to say nice. Nice. Okay. Sam G saying SA6 Ultra replaced a few $1,000 IMs in my collection, including the Mest Mark II for pure coherency. So glad to see Dunu offer a similar tuning in mass production. Yeah, I mean, look, the SA6, I was really surprised at how popular the Ultra was. Not because I didn't think it was a good IEM. Obviously, I heard it a little bit. I was like, this is a great IEM. But what really surprised me about it was it's a very expensive IEM, right? $600. Usually $600 IEMs don't get quite that level of demand. So I was pretty enthused to see that demand. And like a lot of people, then just kind of like squashed when it's like, oh, we only made 300 of them and they're all gone. They're all gone. It's like, oh, okay. So yes, it is nice that it is available widely. Chris Simons with another howdy and a cowboy face. How you doing, Chris Simons? Hiran saying, I like coherence and natural tonality, 1DD IMs all the way. Interesting. That's a bold claim right there. What would be my favorite single DD IM? I mean, I guess it would have to be the Sennheiser IE600. Which maybe you would like, but I know you're a little bit sensitive to treble, so you might not like that one, despite it being a single DD. And I'll say, like, coherency is not usually a thing I care too much about. Sometimes there might be I think, yeah, the SA6 is a decent example of a coherent IM. The Supernova, also a coherent IM, but this is one for me where it really just sounds like, it doesn't sound like 4 different drivers making sound. It just sounds like one cohesive sound. And I think that plays into the appeal here of the Meteor. Whereas, you got a hybrid IM here. The bass has kind of its own texturing versus the rest of the sound, but I don't know, that to me that's not a bad thing, because the alternative can be that you get somewhat flabby bass of a balanced armature. And that's not my preference. but some people, I guess, are more sensitive to coherency than I am. Don Cohen said you weren't able to make the stream. I mean, you joined the chat long enough to say hey, but hope to catch you later. Samuel L. Jackson, what's up? How you doing? Dom Q, what's up? How you doing? Ace of Spades asking, anybody heard of the Fur M5? I can get a used one for $800, but I'm not sure if that is a great option. I'm not sure that I've heard that one. Yanzi, wave, how you doing? Kelvin, what's up? Hope you're having a good morning. Zen, yes, confirming. Good morning from Hong Kong. Good morning, how's it going? Audiotron, what's up? Good to see you there, man. And Luis Martinez from NYC. Getting late there, but thank you for hanging around. Non's goofy video saying, beef I am. Are you saying that there's something... Is there something beefy looking about that? Maybe see that. It actually kind of looks a little bit like leather, which is interesting. It's a wood, like kind of like a burled maple. That's what I meant to say. Dom Q saying the huge print on the box is kind of cartoonish. You know what's cartoonish about the box? Oops, that was too zoomed in. I think this part, yeah, I think this is nice looking graphic design. Got big lettering there. I don't know, almost looks like a video game. Here's what's I don't like. Look at that big old high-res audio sticker. And it's not even a sticker. That thing's just like built into the print. So yeah, that's the biggest high-res audio badge. Probably the biggest I've ever seen, but especially biggest in terms of ratio to the rest of the box. Can you tell it's high-res? Kelvin saying less practical than the old carry case. Yeah, that's actually a good point. So we talked about this carry case here. The carry case that they included on the original SA6, and as well as a number of other Dunu IMs. I'm actually reaching over here because I've got my carry cases. I can actually probably grab one if you'll indulge me a bit, maybe. There we go. Here we go. This is the original carry case that Dunu was including, and I gotta be honest, I do like this one better. As you can see, clearly it is a lot thinner, so this thing's actually pocketable. It's maybe a little bit large to be pocketable, but it is definitely pocketable. And yeah, I don't know, I like this. It's got kind of like this webbing so it doesn't completely flop open. The material actually feels a little bit nicer on it, and aesthetically this is simpler, but more my speed, I suppose. This is a little bit more in the Louis Vuitton direction, which Dunu's been going lately. But yeah, I do like me some that OG case. David K saying the color scheme is doing nothing for me. Well, fair. It doesn't seem to be an unpopular opinion. Yeah, we've got a room. I mentioned the Discord server. We've got a room specifically dedicated to the Dunu SA6 Mark II. And the takes on the aesthetic on it are mostly negative. I'm less negative on it, I think, than average. I think it's, again, a pretty handsome IM still. It's just unfortunately, it's got to be compared versus the last one. And the Ultra specifically, the SA6 Ultra, I think is like a really good looking IM. I even like the red and blue motif, which sometimes can look a little bit toy-like, but I think it looks really good with the stabilized wood. Dom Q saying the S&S tips, which is referring to the Dunu Leanies, these little guys right here. He's saying they work so well with some sets, but horribly with others. Really have to roll those to find the right set. I could see that, I suppose. I mean, that's kind of what I generally find, is that with most IMs, I will switch out tips. Because, yeah, using the same tips on multiple IMs, you know, they all have kind of different fit needs. And sorry, I'm like trying to peel something off of this thing. Why I don't love these personally is that I like the shape of the ear tip to contribute somewhat in terms of holding the IM in my ear. These, I think, actually have a really good shape in that, like, it's kind of like, right? It like pushes in and then it almost like locks itself into place if it fits into the right place of the ear canal. Something like this doesn't quite do that, but it's got a wide umbrella on it, which I think is also pretty good for fit for me generally, especially with a semi-custom design like the SA6, where I don't need the ear tip to do so much work in terms of holding itself in place. So I guess in that way, these Dunu could probably do an okay job, but I don't know. I've tried these on a number of IMs and I've just never really found that I liked them. And maybe it's just because I don't like the way they look. Maybe I'm just being biased against them, but yeah, they've never been my favorite ear tips. But it's nice to have them in my rotation so that, again, I can try them out and stuff, because every IM kind of has its own needs in terms of fit. I mean, every IM plus ear. Ankrumat Audio, how you doing, man? Good seeing you in chat. Brazil is watching you right now. Right on. If you're not familiar with Ankrumat, does reviews in Portuguese and from Brazil, and is recently joined on squig.link, posting frequency response graphs. So good to see you there, and I appreciate the super chat. Mystery Stranger saying Clarion tips are great. Yeah, Clarion tips are pretty good. Did I put mine away? I did. They're over there. I can't grab them. They are pretty good. They're a little bit on the long side, so I haven't been using them as much as I want to, because I like the shape of them actually quite a bit. They have a really nice material to them as well. I just wish they were a little bit shorter. Samuel L. Jackson saying that looks like a heavy-duty cable. This is definitely a heavy-duty cable. Especially if like you compare it to something like this Blessing cable. All right. I mean, it's almost exactly double the thickness of the Blessing 2 cable, or the Blessing 3 cable. Dom Q saying, if that's the same cable as packaged with the Ultras, it looks very, very nice, but unfortunately it's so stiff. Was not impressed. I mean, it probably is the same cable. Again, I don't have an SA6 Ultra on hand, but it is definitely on the stiff side. You can kind of see it's a little bit memory prone in this sense. But overall, I didn't mind this cable too much, to be honest. I don't love a stiff cable usually. This is a very, very soft cable. This is a quite soft cable. This is, I would say, maybe a little bit softer. Yeah, this is actually a little bit softer than the new Mark II cable. And then this one has just a top tier cable from a Truth Ear Ola. If you want to upgrade the cable on your IM, buy a $19 Truth Ear Ola. Zest Defender saying, do they all look this butt, or did you just get some especially wood looking ones? There's barely any orange. No, mine are more woody and less orangey than what I've seen most people get. For me, I dig that. Actually, I like the wood more than the orange accent on it. But yeah, if you don't love the way this one looks, there's a good chance you won't love the other ones either. Because I think this is actually one of my favorite ones. Start Codon UST. I'm probably saying that incorrectly. Saying, I have a dark navy SA6 with just hints of orange and red. SA6 is still my most comfortable IM. Yeah, look, almost everyone that's worn the SA6 has told me the same thing. It's like the most comfortable IM. It's, again, a bold move of them to change up the physical form factor on this thing. Look at just like size-wise, SA6 versus the new Mark II. That is quite a bit bigger, right? For me, it's not a problem. I would say for me, it fills my concha even more fully, and so it maybe even fits a little bit more stably. But it is less of an easy fit, I suppose, versus this guy, which is just all day comfortable. Maybe more to the point, all night comfortable, because I sleep in my IMs. Z-Rad saying the faceplates are random. Yeah, I mean, this is like a natural material, right? So the exact pattern that you get on yours will be different. That is just the name of the game. And unfortunately, they don't give you pictures of it before you buy it. Whereas here with the 7th Acoustic Supernova, because this is like a hand-built IM to order, they will work with you along the way and show you exactly what you're going to be getting before you order it. And it doesn't even really cost that much more than that. I mean, okay, it's like almost 200 bucks more. So that is quite a bit more, but it is, in my opinion, kind of worth it. Kind of worth it. Dom Q asking, did I mention what tips are on my pair? I did not actually. I did not mention. I mean, I did mention I was not using Dunu's tips, but these are the SpinFit TWS tips. I forget exactly which model they are. They're the 360. But yeah, these are the SpinFit tips made for TWS. They're a little bit on the shorter side, which is what I like about TWS tips, and also what I like a lot about spring tips. So these are, yeah, kind of like a decent alternative to spring tips. Italo B saying, I've been enjoying my SA6 Mark II for the past 2 weeks as well, and I really like it. For me, it's a 4 out of 5. The lows are not yet where I would like when you compare with the mids and the highs. Italo, sounds like we're kind of on the same page exactly. So subscribe to Italo B's YouTube channel for reviews on the latest IMs. Sam G saying, my only gripe with the cable is that it terminates with a 90 degree, which makes it tug weirdly on sources. I prefer a straight termination. Yeah, we actually just kind of having a little bit of conversation about this on the Headphone Show live stream chat, talking about right angles. And I was actually surprised at how unpopular right angle terminations are, especially given how common they are. In fact, 3 of the IMs here on this table have right angle terminations, and what we're talking about here is when the cable goes like that and then it turns 90 degrees and points down, right? Just like you get here on the SA6 cable, as well as what you get on the SA6 Ultra Mark II cable. I'm gonna pull these things all the way. There are some straight terminations like you get here on the Blessing 2 cable, or Blessing 3. Now, me personally, when I was first getting into this hobby, I definitely had a very strong preference for straight terminations over the right angle ones. I found the right angle ones just a little bit clumsy feeling, especially when I'm plugging them into my digital audio players. Because when I have a digital audio player like this, right? I have the cable popping out the bottom. I pocket this thing with the top facing down, the bottom of my pocket. This just comes straight out, and it seems to work pretty well. Whereas you have this, and the cable kind of coming away from it, you're kind of like inherently adding this little unnecessary kink to it. So I generally do prefer the straight termination, but I will say over the years, I've gotten to the point where I don't have a strong preference, if I'm honest. And a lot of that comes down to, I guess I realized where a 90 degree termination works really well for me. And that's when I've got this thing plugged into the side of a laptop, right? If I'm on my laptop and I plug this thing into the side of my MacBook, that is actually ideal versus having the jack point straight out to the side. And I mean, that's not my main use case. Mostly when I'm listening to music or using IMs, I'm listening on a DAP, but I do it often enough that I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't really have a strong preference. Where it becomes a real big deal, looking around here, if I have an example, here we go. We can use this. Where the right angle really does become a problem is when you start stacking it with dongles. And now this is just all kinds of clumsy. The reason that this came up actually is because we were talking about the new, and this review will be coming soon. This is the Truth Ear Cross Critical Zero Red edition, and this one comes with a right angle termination. It also comes with an impedance adapter in the box, which is a cool addition that lets you retune the IM with just a little bit of hardware. But unfortunately, it results in kind of like this weird awkwardness to it because of that right angle, plus the impedance adapter on the end of it, which I don't have here on hand to show you. But that would be my one case where I say the right angle is actually just worse. If I was more of a dongle user, that would be a bigger point of contention for me, but because I don't use dongles so much, I've gotten to the point again where I don't mind. John Aranita saying hello all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii. How's it going? Happy afternoon. It's been a while since I've been out there. Priya saying 90 degree terminations are great IMO. They don't protrude too much from the source, especially in the pocket. David saying Huck, Grayson, and Romeo checking in. What's up, team? That is quite the all-star cast right there. Proud to have you all watching Super Review. And then Z-Rad saying, yeah, I prefer the 90-degree jacks too because of that. So yeah, I see, this is kind of more what I expected. I expected more of a 50-50 preference for 90-degree jacks versus straight jacks. I was surprised when I was watching that live stream. It seemed like almost everybody in the live chat, no one had anything good to say about 90-degree jacks. I see the early speculation on the score. Y'all gotta start taking bets in the crowd. Unless that's illegal where you live, then don't do that. Yeah, debating, is it gonna be a regular 4 or a solid 4? I don't even know what I said. Start UST saying, I do keep coming back to sub $100 IMs. I have the Hexa Simgot EA500 just because they have more impactful bass. Yeah, that makes sense. Zest Defender, one of my group mates in a class just announced that he's dropping the class. The group, okay. Wait, did I miss some other context? Or did you type that into the wrong box? Dom Q saying definitely could be. For me personally, if these are as similar to the Ultra as everyone says, I'd go a normal 3. Interesting. I mean, I think, look, the original SA6 still a very, very good IM. I gave this thing 4 at the time, kind of for exactly the same reasons. Just really good mid-range quality, really good treble quality, and kind of mediocre bass. And that's still true here. It's a different tune. It's kind of like, I wouldn't describe this as like an upgrade of the SA6, as much as I'm like a little bit allergic to that term anyway, but like it's a different thing. It's a different tune. I think it does things like, again, the high frequency percussion, the ride cymbals specifically just sound really, really satisfying here in a way that the original SA6 doesn't quite do. But apart from that, like it's, you're trading off a more relaxed, bassier tone for a more vocal forward tone in the original SA6, and most of the strengths and weaknesses were otherwise kind of exactly the same. Gil Renard saying, I have the Mark II. The bass is quite meh and, well, BA bass and timbre. Yeah, it is. It is. And depending on how allergic to that you are, it could be a bigger deal, right? For me, you guys know me. I'm not a big bass head, so I like obviously a good quality bass. I definitely prefer a better quality bass, but the bass quality is not usually the focus for me. Mostly what I like about the bass is that it adds a nice sense of depth to the music, and that's where the bass on the SA6 is just that's kind of where I come into like that hit or missness, right, of it. Is that I want the bass to give that good sense of kind of front to back depth to the music. And again, whether it's the BAs or the tuning of the SA6, it's sometimes it's there, it's got a good sense of depth, and then sometimes it just comes across a little bit flat. Huck saying Supernova with the hearts, that's right. Oh my gosh, dude, the Supernova. Can I just shill the Supernova for a little bit? And no, despite the name having super in it, I'm not biased for it because of that. This is not a collab I have no interest in 7th Acoustics as a company, but oh my gosh, this is my new bae. And Huck, I think you were one of the first. You were probably the first in the Discord server to jump on it. And then I got jealous. Dom Q saying Nova looking amazing as ever. I agree. eRock03 saying I'm confused about these IMs. Well, eRock, tell me, what do you want to know? How can I clarify? What can we do to break the code? Because I want you to not be confused. Dom Q saying my buddy has a pair of Novas on the way. I'm so excited for him. Right on. Ace of Spades, this is a damn nice group of comps. Yeah, I mean, look, this is quite the table of IMs. This was not a bad couple of weeks listening and comparing IMs. I did not feel bad for myself at all. I did not ever get bored of it, which is sometimes the case with IMs. And I have to review something. I got to spend a lot of time with it, and I got to spend a lot of time with the best that I can find at its price range. And sometimes the best stuff isn't that good. This all stuff is pretty dang good. Nazarim saying the biggest thing, so Nazarim is also on the Discord server, also picked up the SA6 Mark II. And he's saying the biggest thing I noticed with the SA6 Mark II is the lack of bass texture and detail in A/B comparison with the Kinda Lava. Yeah, and I think the Kinda Lava that's a hard standard to go up against, because the Kinda Lava bass is some of my favorite bass in IM. So some of my favorite bass in an IM versus kind of meh bass, it's going to be a tough comparison. Now, in terms of like mid-range and treble quality, I think mid-range is maybe similar between the Kinda Lava and the SA6s. Probably lean a little bit toward the SA6s if I'm honest. But treble quality I would actually give to the SA6s. Not quite, it's not as big a jump though as the bass quality. Zest Defender, I need more friends in the hobby near me so I can try their stuff. Yeah, that's the best reason to have friends, is just to try their audio stuff. Also, yeah, having friends is pretty nice. But yeah, it can be tough when you're into this hobby and there's nowhere around you that has this stuff to listen to. So maybe just find some friends that maybe aren't into audio and get them into audio, and then just start like subliminally messaging them about stuff that you want to hear but you don't want to buy. Just be like, oh, have you heard about the new SA6 Mark II? I hear it's really good. Just kind of fill their head with that crap. Then they buy it, and then you listen to it, and you're like, okay, cool, I got it. E-Rock, you are asking for clarification, and you ask, are monarchs overrated? I don't think the answer to that question is going to add any clarity, unfortunately for you. If people say they really like the monarchs, believe them. They really like the monarchs, okay? Are they overrating them? They say they really like them. They really like them. I've reviewed both the original Monarch and the Monarch Mark II. If you want my specific opinions in detail, I would go back and watch those. But yeah, they're definitely not bad IEMs. Hinato Leduc saying SA6 sound is addicting, and I get that very much. Yeah. Mid-range specifically is quite good. Oh, I got people repping 617. I'm like, what's going on here? Is that a Boston area code? What's up, Boston? Scott Pleasure saying, dang, the shell on these look too big for me. Well, yeah, again, just let's do this head to head again. It is quite a bit bigger versus the Blessing. Let's do the head to head here. Top to bottom, it's definitely bigger. I think where the Blessing 3 is going to still challenge some people in a way that the SA6 Mark II might not, is going to be more in this area where it enters into the ear canal. It's a little bit more svelte here on the SA6 Mark II. But yeah, just in terms of overall bulk, oh my gosh, I'm tying myself in knots. But yeah, in terms of overall bulk, I'd say the SA6 Mark II is bulkier than the Blessing, which is interesting. Again, a bold move for them, especially considering they didn't change the driver config. I am kind of curious why they decided to do that. Oh, Zest Defender, I didn't realize you were in the Bay Area as well. Z-Rad asking, all these are BAs besides the Blessing 3? Yes. All the IMs that we compared here are all balanced armatures, except the Blessing 3 is a hybrid. just a similar neutral benchmark, so had to be present. Dom Q saying the Meteor was the biggest disappointment of 2023 for me. It's a shame. I still quite like it. Again, the Meteor is not the tuning that I would generally gravitate toward. It is kind of the opposite of usually what I prefer. But nonetheless, this is one of my most used IMs outside of review time. It's an IM I frequently pull out, plug in, and listen to it. It does a unique thing. Dom Q asking, when I do eventually get to the chat, how's the size of the SA6 compared to the Monarch Mark II? I don't have the Monarch Mark II within arm's reach. I will say, in terms of fit, it's not even close. The Monarch Mark II is just chungus, just absolute unit in my ear, and it's like not comfortable. Whereas the SA6 is, even the Mark II here, is wonderfully comfortable in my ear. Again, it is larger, it is fuller in my ear, but it is not uncomfortable. It is not stretching anything or otherwise outstaying its welcome. The Monarch Mark II is not a good fitting IM for me. So yeah, it's not even close. Unfortunate Cheese saying I'm a sucker for clear electronics where you can see the components. And yeah, I didn't mention that, but you can see components inside of the SA6 Mark II. It is just kind of like a smoked resin, so it's not the clearest view into there, but you can see the wires, right? A little bit comes across in the stream. You can see the balanced armatures right here. So you get to see a little bit of it, but not to the same degree that you do here with the Blessing. Z-Rat asking, isn't the fit of the Meteor going to be off because of the connector angle placement? I mean, I don't know, throughout my ears, you can see exactly what the Meteor fits like in my ears, but no, I don't really have any issues with the placement of this thing. What do you think? Is that what you expected? I'd say, yeah, again, this thing's not like custom molded, so you can see that it kind of moves around like a joystick in my ear because all of the contact point is effectively the ear tip on my ear canal, less so than like any of the custom molding of the earpiece itself touching my concha. But yeah, it's been surprisingly good fitting IM for me, good sleeping IM too. Adrian agreeing with me, saying the Monarch Mark II and the SA6 fit is an insane comparison. The Monarch is probably like twice the size. I mean, like, it's not literally twice the size, but if you put them in your ears, it's gonna feel like, Jesus, that's twice the size. YouTube jumped me, so apologies while I scroll back. Start Codon UST saying most of the reviews of the Mark II make it sound like this is an upgrade, but honestly, I don't know if I really want an IM that's even more warm and relaxed than the OG SA6. Yeah, again, I wouldn't necessarily describe the Mark II as an upgrade because it's a significantly different tune. And well, okay. It is a significantly different, the differences are significant, but it's also like, it doesn't transform it. Which is to say that it is kind of more the same than it is different, but where it is different, it's just different, not necessarily better. I don't think that's helping with the clarity, but yeah, again, I wouldn't use the word upgrade personally. Unfortunate Cheese is asking about the Etymotic ERX. I tried it a little bit. I didn't love it. I don't love that form factor. Etymotic used it with the oh my gosh, the Etymotic Evo initially, right? Which was a 3 IM or 3 driver IM. It kind of looks more like a traditional IM versus Etymotic's other stuff, but it still fits really deep. And because of that large body, it actually makes it more difficult for me to fit personally versus just like a regular ER4. So I don't love that body design. So I'm a little bit biased against the ERX already from that side, but then also just the ERX is just, it's a single bounce armature. So it's like, it's kind of like a worse Etymotic ER4, in my opinion, when I listen to it. So it's just the worst Etymotic ER4 that fits even worse. So I wasn't that excited about it, especially given that you can find the Etymotic Evo, which is definitely better than the ERX, for about the same price nowadays. I don't know. The ERX is an interesting release. I didn't really get that one on paper. And then when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, I still don't get it. Real Audio Review saying the Supernova was the best IM I found around the $700 price point. Haven't heard the Dunu though. Well, I mean, obviously everyone's got their own preferences, but spoiler, I think the Supernova is better. Dom Q saying the IE600 is the most non-single DD sounding single DD I've heard, if that makes sense. It does make sense. I get it. It sounds like it's doing a lot of things that it's surprising it is able to do with a single dynamic driver, especially that treble. Michael Corin saying, it's kind of wild the growth of wired IMs in light of the abandonment of the 3.5 jack on mobile devices. It's a shame that no phone manufacturer wants to specialize or partner up with an IM company. I mean, Sony is still including 3.5mm jacks in their phones, and they kind of are an IM company. So maybe there's a version of what you're talking about. Their phones are not cheap though. They're pretty expensive. That said, if I was buying an Android phone for myself right now, I'd probably buy a Sony phone. Maybe buy one a couple years old, because phones have been, in terms of performance wise, they've been very solid for me. Like, I don't game on my phone, so most of the advances in phones over the last couple of years have been kind of wasted on me. So yeah, I'd just buy a couple years old Xperia 5 or something. The Digital Crack asking, is Blessing 2 still my preferred IM? I mean, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say that Supernova is kind of overtaken. This is the god tier. If you want my favorite IM at this moment, it is this guy right here. And if you want to know why, I did a review of this a couple months ago, where I probably even compared it directly with the Blessing 2. Nick Greenwood asking, compared to the Manguard top. It was good timing that you asked about the Manguard top, because Adrian, who's in chat here, actually just loaned me his Manguard top. I'm looking around, I don't have any evidence of it within arm's reach, so you'll have to believe me. But it is a very different IM. I would kind of describe it as like on a frequency response graph, it kind of just looks like neutral with a little bit of sub-bass boost, which you could say of, I don't know, most of these IMs. But I think in listening to it, the bass is more emphasized than I expected. And I think the upper treble is also more emphasized than I expected. So the Manguard top is kind of giving me like somewhat dark, contrasty, U-shaped frequency response, like really powerful bass, really nice upper treble. I'm digging it quite a bit. Versus the SA6 Mark II, I think I'd take the top. I mean, I haven't done that comparison significantly, but I think I'd take the top. Z-Rad, you're not sure, but it might be high res. Yeah, I'm not sure either, but maybe. I'm suspicious. And Z-Rad, I agree with you. The blue Moondrop case with the little magnet clasp is like peak IM cases. In fact, I've got one over here. Anytime I leave that, like I go on vacation or, you know, have to go on a work trip or something like that, and I'm bringing IMs with me, that little moondrop case that you're describing is exactly the one I bring with me. Brandon Darden, what do I think are the main differences between the File M11S and the M11 Plus? Anything to make the price difference worth it? Well, I did a full review of the M11S in which I spent a lot of time comparing it with the M11 Plus. So that would be my recommendation, is to start there with the review. In short, I think the M11 Plus is like more powerful. So if that's a thing that's important to you, maybe there's a value there. But it's also bigger and bulkier. So I actually kind of preferred the File M11S, the cheaper, smaller one, at least in day-to-day use. The one thing that I did like about the Plus version is that the standby battery life is for some reason just insanely good. So like I can leave it sitting on a table for a couple of weeks and it'll still have a charge. But apart from that, there was no significant gain from the added size or cost for me. Unfortunate Cheese saying it'd be cool if LG just released another phone. Apple dongle was easy to lose. Yeah, well, I think LG exited the phone market, right? Someone is asking, how's the imaging in terms of positioning or instrument difference from Harman variant-ish tuning when listening to same tracks? How drastic or not is it to B3, for instance? I would say the imaging quality on the Blessing 3 and both of the SA6s is pretty comparable. Maybe a little bit wider in terms of stereo image presentation on the SA6s versus the Blessing 3, but in terms of the definition and the distinctness of it, all three of them are very, very solid. I do think that the Supernova is, again, next level. Esmeralda asking for my 5 favorite IMs ever. I'm not prepared to answer that. Number 1, 7th Acoustic Supernova. Number 2, it gets tough. It gets tough. I have to think about that order. Oh, what's up, Side Salad? How you doing, Jamie? Also, another audio reviewer you should definitely check out. Check out Side Salad. Click his name in the live chat. Subscribe to his channel. He does good stuff, even if he is a VTuber. I actually think the VTuber thing is kind of cool. I'm probably not going to do it because I don't want to set that stuff up. But it seems like a nice solution to, I don't feel like being on camera right now. Ultimate Cheese saying, I don't really like the plate on the Blessing 3. I kind of like it, to be honest. Apart from the fact that it picks up fingerprints all the time. I don't like that part of it. But I like it. It's just kind of like a subtle look to it that I personally dig. Recode saying Supernova exists. Buy Supernova. I mean, you heard it here, and you've heard it elsewhere. If you don't want to buy a Supernova, I highly recommend you do not join the Discord server. Because if you join the Discord server and express any interest whatsoever in potentially buying a Supernova, you will be bullied until you buy a Supernova. I mean, politely. It'll be kind of funny while we're doing it, but you're gonna spend $750. Zerpocalypse saying, I am not a fan of the orange shells, not gonna lie. Are you referring to this orange or this orange? Or both oranges? Because I get it. I'd actually, this specific earpiece, I don't love the look of it. This one, which is always face down when I roadie wrap it, I like the look of this one. But if you don't love orange, I could understand that. That would not be my first pick of all the SA6 colors. But again, when it comes to the SA6 Mark II, I'm not mad at the way it looks. I think it looks handsome, kind of mature. It looks like something owned by someone who owns a bearskin rug and like smokes pipes. It's got that kind of look to it. Oh, my display froze. Please hold while I deal. All right, I think we're back. Cool. Octrama Audio saying, I just listened to the Ultra. Curious about the Mark II. I think, again, I didn't get a chance to listen to them head to head. But I think if you heard them head to head, you'd think, well, they sound almost mostly exactly the same. The big difference between this one and the Ultra, two differences that stand out to me on a frequency response graph. Okay, one is that the upper treble here is a little bit more emphasized, so that metallic ping that I was describing with ride cymbals might come across a little bit better here on the Mark II. And then the second difference is the bass tuning switch, where this in the off position is equivalent to the bass tuning of the Ultra in the on position, which is to say when you have the bass tuning switch on this on, it's even more bass. To me, I didn't like it. So with the Ultra, I liked it better with the bass switch on. With this, I like it better with the bass switch off, which basically is equivalent basses. Red Gopnik asking for hinged terminations. It's getting a little ambitious right there, but I wouldn't hate that. It's not a bad idea. Someone's got to be capable of doing it. Hold on. I'm gonna show off my my transformers because this is what I thought of when you're describing that. If people can figure out the engineering that goes into these things, which is just absolutely insane. Look at how small this thing is. Okay. This thing turns into an awesome truck, and I'm not going to do it for you right now because it takes me like 10 minutes. But the engineering in this thing is amazing. If they can figure this out, they can figure out a termination that goes between 90 degrees and straight without adding a lot of bulk. It's got to be possible. Might be a failure point, but it's got to be possible. Side Salad saying, I guess it doesn't really bother me if it's straight or 90 since I can't remember which IMs have which jack. Yeah, I mean, if you're not thinking about it when you're bouncing between IMs, it's a good sign that it kind of doesn't really matter. But again, if you are adding dongles on top of it, that's where I could see it really mattering. What's up, Anupam? How you doing? Fellow Supernova enjoyer. Although currently lacking Supernova, because you're spreading the good word, which is mighty kind of you. Let me get through this. I'm gonna have to jump and start cooking dinner pretty soon. But yeah, let me try and catch up with these. I'm skipping some. I apologize, fam. Again, if you want to continue the chat, if I miss a question that you really wanted answered, join us on Discord. A lot of us are there having conversation all the time. I'm there way too much. I'll probably be able to answer your questions as long as it's not a bad question. And there are bad questions. Don't let overly kind professors tell you there's no such thing as a bad question. There are bad questions, such as which of these two IMs has the best soundstage? Doesn't matter. That's a bad question. Scott Pleasure saying friends are great because they help you refinish the basement you just refinished after it flooded. That is a great friend and a great value. Yes, I agree. Oh my gosh, I think I saw Rob Hawk and then it jumped ahead. Digital Crack with the super chat. Hey, appreciate it, Digital Crack. Thank you very much. Rob Hawk, gotta say, X bass saves the day again for the Mark II this time. I could see doing that. If you're a big fan of the i-Fi X bass switch, it's a good bass boost. Brandon Darden asking, what is my DAP of choice these days? Well, I kind of already showed it here on screen a little bit. This is what I use most of the time. This is the Hibby R5 Saber. It's an old one, right? This one's been around for a while, but this is the one that I reach for. And the reasons why I choose this one over the other that I have is like most of the other DAPs are just bigger and they don't give me better battery life. So like, I'm not sure why I would use a bigger DAP. I don't need more power. This thing, I ran this thing at CanJam and it drove every headphone at CanJam to CanJam levels, which was louder than I would normally listen. So this thing's got all the power I need in a very compact form, and as you can see, it runs power amp. It does it quite well, I think, and that's why I use this thing. If I had my absolute choice of any DAP out there, I'd probably still pick the Hibby R5 Gen 2, which I actually got one sitting over here, and the reason I'm not using it is that I broke it. That was my bad. But that would probably be my favorite DAP. This would be my second favorite DAP. Just the battery life on this thing is not quite as good as the Hibby R5 Mark II. Okay, it's about half as good. The Hibby R5 Mark II, battery life is just killer feature for that one. Dom Q asking, any new music recs? Okay, let's do a little bit of music recs. We'll talk about what I've been listening to lately. So I did mention briefly Pontobox, and I think I talked about them on the last review as well. Check them out. I don't listen to a lot of jazz, if I'm perfectly honest. A lot of jazz I just kind of find a little bit all over the place, and I like a melody in my music. And a lot of jazz just a little bit heavy on the rhythm and the freestyling, and a little bit low on the melody. I think this is a really good balance though. And what really makes this music stand out is the recording quality is just phenomenal. All right. If you're looking for music if you want to test your high frequency percussion on your IEM or headphone of choice, listen to Pontobox. Really good stuff. Another artist I can recommend that I've been listening to lately that is a little bit different is Nilüfer Yanya. She's kind of, I don't know how I describe her, is like indie pop, but with somewhat of a, I don't want to say dark, but there's like something of like a warm character to the music, and not just the tonality. I don't know. I'm not like a music critic, so I don't have the right language for it. But her music is really good. This album in particular, I think, is really good. I don't even know what it's called. It's called Painless. If you want to try a specific track just to get a sense for it, this track right here, Shameless, is really good. I also really like Midnight Sun and Trouble. This is a song that I was listening to Nilüfer Yanya, I think yesterday night, so two nights ago. And this song entered my dreams. Is that a little bit too personal? Maybe, but good reason to listen to it. Chris Simon's asking, what tips do I have on the Supernova? Actually, same answer is the same tips I've got on the SA6. These are SpinFit CP360s, I believe. Sup, Wenkern boys. I have not heard the HPB PR2. It looks actually pretty impressive, so I'm kind of curious to hear it, but I'm not sure I'll get a chance. My Life Matters saying Evo was clearance for $200. Yeah, yikes. Yeah, that was a $500 IM when it came out. $200 I think sounds good. Like that's a good price for that IM. As I recall, I haven't heard it in a while. As I recall, it's a very good sounding IM, really good with texture and surprisingly good bass for balanced armature stuff. The main reason I don't use it though is just the fit. I don't love the fit of it. Scanning. Adrian saying that's what I want to hear, talking about the top. Top is a better variations. I think it's more different than the variations, so I don't know that I would make that comparison. I might like it better than the variations though, so I might agree with you there. You're saying that it's what you wanted the variations to be, which I can get that. Yeah, the variations is very, the bass tuning on it is just, it's not my favorite bass tuning. Wenkern asking, how long will I review the SIMGOT EA500? I will be doing a review of the EA500. I think it'll probably be a short, but there are a number of IMs that I gotta catch up on. All right, we talked about the Truth Ear Zero Red. This review will probably be my next one, but then I also wanna work on some short reviews for a couple of other IMs. I've got SIMGOT EA500 here. I've got the Yucotec RE4. This is the second copy. We'll talk about that in a lot in the review, I suppose. We've got the Moondrop Jiu, Jiu, and then we've also got the Kiwi Ears Quartet, which may or may not get its own full review. Kind of TBD on that. I'll have to see how my schedule is. I'll warn everyone here that's sticking around, and I appreciate you all sticking around for this. We are about to be doing a fairly extensive home remodel, which will mean that for about 4 or 5 months, I'm not going to live here. I'm not going to have access to this room. I'm not going to have access to my live stream setup. And I'm not totally sure what that's going to mean for updates on this channel. I'm going to figure out ways to continually update it. It might just only be shorts reviews for about 4 or 5 months. Yeah, so just to warn you and get prepared for that. Zen asking, where's my Studio 4? Good question. It's actually within arm's reach. It's right here. I considered comparing this with the others, but I already had enough IMs on the table. And I compared the Studio 4 with the original SA6 when I reviewed that a month or so ago. So I felt like I kind of already said a lot there that would just be a rehash here. Brandon Darden asking, do I have a favorite aftermarket cable? And I have 2 favorite aftermarket cables, only one of which is within reach here, and it's this one. This is the Truth Ear Ola cable. It's not even really an aftermarket cable, but because you can buy this IM for $19, and it's just a really nicely behaved cable, simple, thin, lightweight, soft, supple, all the good words. Truth Ear Ola cable is one of my top tier cables. My second favorite cable is another loaner from another IM, is the Moondrop SSR cable. Also a fantastic IM. And I'll pick either Ola cable or SSR cable depending on the IM that I'm putting it on. This is the black IM, so I thought it looked better with the black Ola cable. That's pretty much it. Side Salad saying I'm quite camera shy. I mean, I think most of us are. It's not normal to not be camera shy. So the VTuber thing is a nice compromise. Yeah, it works well. It works well. I dig it. Also, it's just fun and opens the possibility to do animated bits. Ooh, that would be kind of cool. Maybe the VTuber thing will be my solution to not having a studio. I don't know. Maybe I'll be pinging you for tips. Scott Pledger saying, damn it, you're gonna make me buy a super, I assume you're saying Supernova there, aren't you? You know what, Scott, I'm pretty surprised you haven't bought a Supernova yet. You maybe should, yeah, all right, folks, let me jump to the end of chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. I see a lot of support for the Ola cable and the SSR cable. That's right, Ola cable represent. But yeah, folks, that is going to have to do it for this live stream. Thank you all for tuning in and for the conversation, the questions, and mostly just the support. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit the like button on the way out, subscribe to the channel, ding the YouTube bell, join me on Discord, and I'll catch you on the next super review. Have a good week.